This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com.
Right, anyone listening to this podcast, please be aware there is some colourful language in there, and certain subjects might be difficult for certain people to listen to as well. If you are listening to around young children, I'd suggest that you listen in a little later because it is really fun, it is really interesting, and I am a chef, and it's just, we're just being natural and we're just having a laugh, so it's not meant to offend anyone, but there is some colourful language.
Welcome to Grilled.
I want to eat under roast whenever I want to eat under roast, not when you want me to eat it.
I just remember Brad's smell of his beard. You just had a biggest, fluffiest beard, and I was like, God, he smells so good. I don't know why, it's weird. Sometimes you put smell or something to it, and I just remember that. Well, it's a bit bizarre.
Why are you in your chef's white cellar? You're working.
I'm cooking burgers.
Oh, burgers. I hope they're not McDonald's.
And I just lash it all over the hot toast as it melts and quickly munch it up, crunchy, crunchy, munchy.
Dying to get like a piece of your culinary penis in or around their mouth.
Welcome to Grilled, a podcast by the Staff Canteen. I'm Cara, editor of the Staff Canteen, and for the next 6 episodes I will be joined by another lovely co-host, which is Aktar Islam, and he will be chatting to me and lots of interesting and exciting guests over the next few weeks. So Aktar, welcome to Grilled. Thank you for agreeing to do this. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. I'm good. I just want to say thank you very much for referring to me as lovely, because I've noticed as I'm getting older, and I think I'm mellowing out, so people actually use the term lovely a lot more about me now than they used to say 10 years ago. So thank you very much.
What word would have been used to introduce you 10 years ago?
I don't know. I mean, there's a whole look. My son refers to, well, Darth Vader. Apparently I'm evil, but there is a bit of good in me somewhere. It just needs to be brought out. So yeah, but no, I've had some interesting words used to describe me over the past.
Okay, well maybe I'll pick different words to describe you.
You'll be doing a lot of editing
of each episode. Right, so obviously it's not just me and you today. Let's introduce our guest. So the lovely Philli, who people will probably be aware of from social media and from Masterchef, the professionals. Philli, welcome to Grilled.
Hi Cara, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be both with you. I'm so excited to chat with you guys. So thank you so much for having me.
No, it's lovely to have you. I'm very excited about this. And you're both my guinea pig, because I have decided to bring out my spinning wheel of truth, which if you're listening to this, you won't be able to see it. But if you're watching it, then you will. So
it's
a little
very
bit of
colourful.
Yeah. And just before I go into this wheel, if anybody listening has any questions that they would like to add to this wheel, then please just send me an email, which is Cara at thestaffcanteen.com, or just drop me a DM on social or the Staff Canteen, and we will get it on here for keep Aktar on his toes for the next few episodes, so that they're not all the same. So
I tell you what, I look at that your spinning wheel of truth. I see that, and that ticking noise. I used to watch a Wheel of Fortune at home with my mom, so I could just hear that tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, it is.
Right, where's the point of the cash prizes?
Yeah.
I know. I don't have any cash prizes. Maybe I can send you some sort of Staff Canteen merchandise instead.
Yeah, I mean the t-shirts have been really popular, haven't they?
They have. They definitely have. So some collector's items now.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to spin this. Who would like to go first?
Well, I'm a bit old school, and I'll say, let's let Philli go first. Philli's the guest.
Perfect. Okay, ready?
Okay. Oh god.
Okay, it's quite tame. So if you could have invented one thing, it can be anything, what would it be?
One thing?
It can be something that's already been invented, or it's something in your head that you wish had been invented. Yeah.
Oh, it could have already been invented.
Yeah, if you want to go, I wish I'd come up with that.
I mean, it would be quite... What's going to be the coolest thing? I wish I would have invented... hard. Because a lot of things like destruct as well. I wish I had invented, I don't want to say the internet, but like, yeah, let's go with the internet.
I mean, we couldn't live our lives without it now, could we? So
yeah, I mean, it causes a lot of pain, but also causes it's great. I mean, I don't know what I could do without Google.
I know. Imagine, like, remember life without Google? Like, what did we do?
I remember. So obviously, I've got a few years on both of you. So I remember trying to get my head around the concept of what an email was. So I remember setting up my first email account, and I couldn't understand what was actually going on because it was quite an alien concept to me. So I was about 16, 17 at the time, and now I remember my first text message coming through. So like, all this sort of stuff, it was just weird. So it took me a bit of time to get my head around what an email actually was. So I think after I set up my email account, it probably took about 2 years till I actually sent my first email. I just couldn't get my head around it. It's absolutely bizarre. So yeah.
Did you have one of those email accounts, where people set them up and it was a stupid, silly name that you had on your email account, and then realized that you had to be professional and you had this account with like...
What was your first email account?
The thing is, like I say, because we were sort of like the first in, I actually got Aktar Islam.
Oh, okay.
So, I didn't know, I didn't want to put fuzzy Aktar or whatever. I've never been into it. So it's just basically, I put Aktar Islam at Hotmail, blah, blah, blah. And I got it. So it was because it was so far back, we're talking like 90s. It was still quite a new thing. So I guess you could just get it. So obviously, it's not a very popular British name, but Aktar Islam is a very popular name across various parts of the world. So, but I still managed to get it. So yeah, so that's it. So I guess that's one of the great things about being the first people in, I guess.
Yeah.
I remember I went when I was traveling. I flew into Beijing, and they don't have Google there, and it's the most weird experience because you're like, okay, how do I Google Map something? How do I Google Translate something? And you're like, oh no, I don't know what to do. And you can't download anything, so you're just like, cool, well, I'm just going to work this out. And yeah, it's really difficult.
Did you have to go old school and get an actual physical guidebook to work your way around?
Yeah, I mean, I had a guidebook with me, but no, I had to you have to go through a VPN, and then it's really hard I had to go through Ask Jeeves to get the email.
I didn't even know Ask Jeeves still.
I know, because you can't Google it. So I had to do Ask Jeeves to find out how to download a VPN.
It is nuts though, because we were watching a TV program a few days back, and I don't know if you guys remember the A to Z maps.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now it's all about Google Maps, right? So, to think that we set off on a journey with this book, and it was quite a skill to learn how to use it. And now everything is just all off this, like bang, 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 and it tells you where to go, tells you if there's a traffic jam, whatever. And back then we had this big chunky book that we had to flick through. So you always had to have a navigator or lots of stops and starts. But yeah, I mean, it's I think without sounding like a totally a full-on old bastard, but it's like I've seen that period where technologies always emerge and become integrated into our lives from a time when it wasn't. So it's been an interesting 20-25 years actually to see how we've transitioned from that.
Yeah, and it'll be another interesting 20 to 25 years to see how we progress from that point on, won't it? Imagine what the progression will be.
So if the internet goes down, you guys are buggered.
I know.
I'm actually the internet, so.
Right, let's go for another one. So Aktar, it's you. Don't land on the same thing. Okay, so one thing that people might not know about you, Aktar.
I tell you what, I've got this thing where I have a fruit phobia.
A fruit phobia?
Yeah. So
like specific fruits or all-encompassing fruits?
Just in general. So it's something that I've had to learn to sort of almost cope with. So my mother told me it started when I was about 4, and for whatever reason, from eating grapes, I stopped eating grapes because I didn't like it, and then it just grew bigger and bigger to the point where even touching fruit I found quite uncomfortable. But the most bizarre thing is, once it's been processed in any way whatsoever, so I mean, like if you took a berry and turned it into a puree, I'd scoff that down, no problem. But if you just told me to take a berry and put it and just chomp on it, I'd have issues with it. So the lads at the gym, I don't work out very much. Well, I don't work out at all now. I need to sort that out. But there was a time I was like heavy into it. And at the gym, they all used to laugh at me because they knew I was getting ready to chow down on that banana. So I'd get my water bottle ready. I'd psych myself up, and it'd be bite down with water, and or orange segments. I'd almost have to like a seal drop it down. And it's something that's, but then I'd drink like freshly squeezed orange juice. I'd have that all day long. So it's just this weird thing I've struggled with. I mean, and you know, I've obviously, you know, because of work and everything else, and I do in the end enjoy the flavors. It's always been something quite difficult. So, for example, one of the scariest things to me is someone, you know, like an overripe mango, and they've got that on their hand. And if they ran at me, I almost like that. Yeah, I mean, I would run a mile. So it's bizarre, but I can't explain it.
Do you have fruit desserts on the menu at Opheem?
Yeah, and which I enjoy eating, but it's weird. It's something that I've had to learn and sort of like get over. But there are still certain fruits, like say, like a mushy mango, which I just couldn't touch. It's just weird.
I was not expecting that at all. That was a curveball. But
you know, like I say, something that I've managed to work my way through, and a lot better with it. But yeah, in my 20s, teens, it was difficult.
Wow, like I can't even imagine that at all. That's just, and the fact that you don't even really know where it comes from. It's not like someone did something to you with a mango and now you have this.
To be fair, like
I know. Sorry.
The texture of the mango is a bit like just a raw mango. I don't know. Mango juice. I'm all over, but like
things like, you know, like unripened mango, like the raw unripened mango. So that just cut into chips, loads of salt, chili powder, blah blah blah, like that you have in India and a lot of the places that you would have travelled in, where it's almost like a street food snack. I can chomp on that and I'll enjoy that. I enjoy that, and I think it's a more textural issue. And I don't know, when it's like messy and mushy, I think that was my thing. And like, I don't know, I used to have issues with like, I don't know, like dreams about people with sticky fruit hands touching handles and stuff, and it's sticky, and I do not get it. I don't get it.
That's so funny.
Oh well, thank you for that. I've definitely learned something new about you, which is great. Right, Philli.
Yeah.
Where are we? When was the last time you told a lie, and what was it?
Ooh.
I bet, Philli, you a lot of times, like, I think as chefs, like we get invited to where people cook for us and stuff, which is great. And I think a lot of the times I think as a nation, we're not really very good cooks in general. I'm going to say this from my social.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the lies that we often have to tell people. Say, that was absolutely lovely.
Like, I find it difficult there because I don't get cooked for that often because you're
a Masterchef star.
Well, going around to people's houses, they're like really scared to cook for me, and I'm like, I'm not that scary to cook for. I'm quite easily pleased, and I won't like say anything bad, but at the same time, we got invited over like a while ago to go to someone's house, and we're like in the garden. And they cooked, and it was great, but the salmon was a bit overcooked. It was like, a lot how people would cook, and it was a bit under seasoned. The veg was a bit overcooked, and like the asparagus was like limp. But I'm never gonna say that. And then my boyfriend's like, oh, how would you like to let them know like how they can improve it that 5%? I was like, no, hard no. It'd be easy fixes, but no. So yeah,
this topic actually came up on a previous podcast about like little lies, and I don't know about whether you agree, but this is something that we all agreed on, is that we always will say I'm leaving, like you'll say I'm leaving the house now. You're not. You don't want to explain the fact that you actually have to do 10 things before you leave the house. And you'll say, yeah, and I'll be there on time. I'm leaving now. When you could just say, I have these 10 things to do. I'm going to be late. Like, we were like, this is the thing that you seem to do, that you'll say, yeah, I'm coming now. Well, you're not, but
no.
So little lies that you tell that you really don't need to. They're so unnecessary.
Yeah.
So. My one always, when I'm running behind schedule for anything like getting to work, whatever. Oh, lads, I'm just grabbing the coffees. So
at least you turn up with something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry I'm late, but like,
I think they've worked it out anyway. But yeah. So but yeah, it's always I'm just grabbing some coffees, lads. So that's always my cover story.
I'm glad it's a universal thing that we all do it, so we're all very aware.
Yeah.
I think
best intentions.
Well, yeah, but I think over this last year or so, I don't know how it's affected you, but I think prior to this, we all worked, like we were just on the clock, weren't we? And everyone was on it. And I think lockdown 1 sort of started to mess around with that on people's attitudes. And I realized that lockdown 1, I basically got drunk all the time and walked the canal in Birmingham. That's all you can do, because Birmingham's an incredible place, which it is. Yeah. But the canals are, Anyway, but that's about one of the only attractions we had in lockdown. And then I think with the last 7 months, with this, especially in our industry, where we've always been on the clock, and now it's no longer the case. I think I have found myself a bit more relaxed with time, where perhaps I shouldn't be.
Okay, so you're basically saying you're going to be even more late than you used to be.
Yeah, well, I was sort of like built a reputation on being late. So when we used to do Great British Menu, it was always like, because Great British Menu, like you have your characters, don't you? So Aktar's always late. Blah blah blah, always like this and blah blah blah. So I've just dealt with it. So I've made it me.
Right. Let's do one more for you, Aktar. Oh, we've had that one. What was your dream job as a child?
As a child, obviously, as a kid, everyone wants to be an astronaut. But then now, the more you look into what they actually have to do, I'm quite glad I never went down that route. Not that it would happen, clearly I wasn't clever enough, but, like just simple stuff like they can't shower up there. Like, think about it. And they have to eat all this, like, food, it's all that pureed stuff. Like
baby food constantly.
Yeah, I mean, fair play for the guys that do it, and, for the furthering humanity and all that jazz. But, yeah, I'm glad I fucked up and never became an astronaut.
Dr. Islam.
Yeah, so that's it. But but to be honest, like I've always enjoyed cooking, so from a very young age. So I guess you could say I'm living the dream.
Oh, was that always your path? Did you always want to be a chef, or how did you get there?
It just, I think I always enjoyed cooking for people and seeing the reaction that you get. So, I remember earliest memories from being 6-7 years old, cooking with my mum, just, being part of that process. And and it's always something that I've really, really enjoyed. And I got into hospitality without really even thinking about it. It just became, it's just natural. I don't remember once making that conscious decision saying, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to make a career of it. It just happened. And, I found myself in an environment that I enjoyed, with interesting people. And here I am 28 years later.
I mean, you never know. You may still end up in space at some point. They
Yeah.
are, you might be able to get on a trip to the moon.
I don't know. I'll let quite a few. I'll let Elon Musk do quite a few trips first, just to make sure everything's working.
Yeah. Right. I'm gonna put my wheel away actually because it's quite distracting there in the background. So what I would like to start off with is, that's made me go really dark. Sorry. I'd like to know how you know each other. How you two have, because I know you know each other. This isn't the first time that you've had a chat, is it? So for everybody else, how did you two first meet?
Philli?
There you go. Okay, so I mean, I was on MasterChef this last year now, which was like probably the most scary and stressful experiences of my life. It was very, very intense. But Aktar was lovely enough to do a masterclass for me, which I learned so much from. And he made an amazing pork dish and the potato dish. My God, that is like so good. And yeah, he chose me to be the chef that actually went through on that round. So he really liked my food, which was excellent. And I made like a going fish curry sort of style dish, which was I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, you probably
clearly I did. Otherwise, it could have ended up quite differently.
This would have been an awkward podcast.
Yeah, I know. But no, it's so I was asked to do a masterclass and judge Philli and three, incredibly talented chefs as well, and it was a great experience. But so I've not known Philli prior to that, and I was just incredibly impressed that day with everyone, to be honest, because what I put together is something that went through a process of development, so on and so forth, and they had to take those dishes and create their versions or examples that represent their style of cooking, and a lot, bringing in the spice and so on and so forth, which is something that Philli's clearly very comfortable with, because obviously on the day itself she did an incredible job. But that's how we met.
What were your first impressions of Philli, Aktar?
Well, I thought, speaking to everyone that day, everyone was really confident. I thought, Philli was very confident. I think where Philli sort of almost set herself up to get a real kicking, but clearly she delivered the goodies when she said she'd been developing a range of Indian foods and so on and so forth. I thought, all right then, well, you're automatically like, well, I'm going to expect a little bit more from you now.
Oh gosh.
So I like that confidence. I mean, everyone was super confident because they're there for a reason. At that stage in the competition, you don't get there through sheer luck. And but I thought your confidence really came through. And it came, obviously it came through on the food that you put forward as well. So both myself and Greg, we really enjoyed what you did that day, and obviously that led to you moving forward in the competition.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing, it was a huge confidence boost, because I've not been in professional kitchens for like so many years now. That I mean, I was development chef and then development chef consultant, and so then like, you're not cooking for people and you're not cooking for chefs, so you don't understand, you don't know, you're always questioning yourself, oh, is this food good enough? But it's a great confidence boost, so thank you so much, and it was a really great experience to meet you as well.
You're welcome. No, it was lovely to meet you all. So really, it was a tough day because everyone did such a good job, so it was quite hard to actually pick one person out of the four. And I don't envy what Marcus, Monica, and Greg ultimately have to do. So for me, it was a fun day out. Probably the two of the easiest days filming I've had in my entire career on TV. I can tell you for sure. Yeah.
Well, let's stick with MasterChef. Philli, let's talk about your MasterChef experience and why did you want to do it in the first place? What made you go, oh yeah, I'm going to go for that?
I guess it was a moment of madness. I guess a lot of people people put themselves, their loved ones put them forward, but I was like, no, I'm going to do it myself. So I put myself forward. It was just like, I guess I just wanted to prove to myself that I could cook, because I mean, I've only actually spent 2 years in professional kitchens within the Gordon Ramsay group, and it was a great experience, but it was many years ago now. And so then following that, I became a development chef. And it was relearning all these skills that I hadn't done for many years. So I hadn't filleted a fish in like 4 years, 6 years. It's just like crazy amounts of time. And just like, okay, going down to the butcher, actually learning how to prep. We were like prepping like whole pieces of lamb and like learning how to balance dishes again and like design like refined dishes, which it's a skill in itself. And doing that was my lockdown experience, because obviously I was training and I was just like, my boyfriend was just having like 6 ducks, just like, okay, is this one better, is this one better, is this one better, okay, like
But I'm sure he wasn't complaining.
Yeah. Yeah, he was very much pointing me forward when I was like, okay, I don't know if I could do this, but no, it was a really great experience, and I learned so much for myself. Like going through a competition, I think any chef competition, it really does push you to actually learn from yourself. I think, Aktar, you'd agree with that during.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I've put myself through that torture on more than one occasion. But yeah, as I've grown older, I've realised. It's a lot easier being on the other side.
Well, I was going to say, which do you prefer? Do you prefer judging TV competitions or being a part of them?
I think obviously the overall experience, it really boils down to what you want to get out of it. So I enjoyed both. I think what Philli just said is about the being in the competition. It's about challenging yourself and forcing yourself to grow, because it does. That experience does force you to grow. So every time I did GBM, I feel I grew better as a chef, because I was having to do stuff that wouldn't be part of my normal repertoire. So you're really pushing yourself and asking yourself to question what you're doing, and in that process you're developing so many things before you end up with the dishes that you move forward. So it forces you to just expand your knowledge as well. So that's the positive of it. Of the competition. Obviously the competitions are like hard work though. I mean, I don't think a lot of people, just by sitting on your couch and watching the 45-minute, half an hour show, you don't actually see the amount of work that actually goes into that. For GBM, but it's 6 a.m. start, so like you'd wake up at 6 a.m. and you'd be filming till midnight, and you do that for a whole week. So it's hard work. But then, like I say, to go on and to judge, that's definitely that's nice as well, because you get to see new emerging talent. Like people see what you understand the journey that they're going through as well. So it's nice to be able to go on there to be able to mentor, to be able to pass on some of the experiences that you've gleaned over the years as well. So I mean, I think both are great. Just depends what you want to get out of it, I think, in the end. So, but yeah, I mean, right now I'm definitely sure that my competing days are well and truly over.
Well, Great British Menu obviously is currently on at the minute, isn't it? And I think when this goes out, we'll probably be heading towards kind of finals week, I think. But what does it do you think, for a chef to be on TV and do well at these competitions? What does it do for them in terms of career? I mean, obviously both of you have done well and competed, so what would you say is kind of the best things that you've plucked from being on TV?
Well, I mean, for myself, obviously, I've been knocking around on the box for about 10 odd years now, 11 years. So for me, if we start off with working with Gordon on the F Word. So, I mean, prior to that,
you've been on them all, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm an absolute sag. I'm just ticking every box. Like, yeah. So I've been on every show. But it started off, and what a great one to start off with. Like every Friday night, you're in front of 6 to 8 million people, and it was incredible because it took me from someone who catered or who was very much part of the Birmingham scene and made me more national, not just national, international, because even now to this day you still get weird messages from obscure parts of the world where people are watching, say, that rerun of the F Word thinking it's happening now. And they're sending you good luck messages and stuff like that. It's weird, it's bizarre. I remember, I think it's about 2014, I was actually in Argentina, and people from South America were sending me messages of good luck for the final F word, which I filmed in 2009. So it's interesting. But like, look, I think what it does do, obviously, for sure, it launched me. Almost like my career. It took me from someone who was just catering to a small audience in Birmingham to someone who had more of a national appeal, I guess, and that just springboarded me to do so many other things. And I think Philli's on that journey now. I think it's something interesting because when you get that attention from you're going through it. So tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was great to actually experience being around, like, it's my first time in a studio and stuff. That's like a whole new experience, and it's this like the Olympics of chef world. It's like, it's so hard, but it was a great experience, and there's been like highs and lows coming out of the experience, but overall it's been like an excellent journey, and I feel like I am at the beginning now. Aktar, you've shown like amazing journey through your last 10 years of being on the telly and stuff, but I'm at the beginning, and I want to be like, hopefully a journey to grow and springboard into something where I want to be, which is
obviously you said you've had highs and lows. I would like to talk about, I know you did have a difficult few I don't know, weeks, months, I don't know how long, probably for you personally. It's probably still something that you're dealing with, but for people that don't know, obviously you did get a little bit of a negative response to your cooking style. Is that fair to say? So for people that don't know, Philli, explain what happened, and then I think it would just be really nice for myself and Aktar and you to just kind of chew the fat on it a little bit, and and kind of get to the bottom of it, and how and where you are now and how you move forward from something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was cooking my style of food in Masterchef, which I really enjoy, and I feel like my style of food is indulgent, but it does take I lean on flavors from around Asia as well, and ingredients, and I really wanted to celebrate those ingredients and flavors. However, it wasn't taken too well by some people, which is like, I'd never want to offend anyone, and that's what I'm not cooking about. But yeah, it wasn't taken well by some people, which is unfortunate. And
I think it was the wording used, wasn't it, initially?
I said that my food was dirty food refined, and that was what I meant by that was, for example, burgers or chips, and you're refining it to being restaurant quality, because I really love street food, and I feel like it should be celebrated to be able to be presented on Masterchef, which is one of the greatest cooking competitions. So I think that it should deserve its place anywhere. So some people didn't take these words lightly and caused offense to some people, which I apologize for. I apologize that I'd caused offense. It's really tricky, because a lot of things are happening in the world today which are not okay, but it's really difficult, and choosing your words really carefully is really hard, especially if you don't have like a huge PR team behind you. So it did get taken out of context eventually, and went on a big whole, it grew a voice of itself, which was really difficult, because it went international. Even it was over in LA and New York, and it grew a voice of itself. But however, some of the newspapers in the UK also picked it up, which was difficult. And thankfully, Aktar was, along with a lot of other chefs, actually came to my support to be like, no, this is not okay. Like, yeah.
And I'm assuming that it took you by surprise, Philli. I'm assuming that you were
100%.
like, you never saw this coming.
No, not at all, which was really difficult because I'd never did want to cause offense to anyone, which was, it was really difficult to deal with because, it did take me by surprise, and I didn't know how to deal with it because I hadn't been in the public eye before, and it was like, what do I do?
But it's not just that. You didn't know how to deal with it because it was never engineered to offend anyone. It was a mark of respect that you respect these cuisines enough to celebrate them and make it very much part of you. You know, and how. You know, how would you be able to deal with it? Because you never want, like when you want to offend someone, you know, I'm going to say this and that's going to fuck them off. And then when they come back with that, I'm going to say that so I can fuck them off even more. So, you know, that process is already, you know, you've mapped that out.
Yeah.
But this was never the case. So, of course, you'd never be in a position or it would be like an absolute fucking sledgehammer waking up in the morning to that. And I totally so you wouldn't know how to appeal.
It was really difficult because it went from a couple of messages on Instagram and then it snowballed, and I was just getting thousands and thousands of messages to my phone. I was just like, oh gosh, what do I do? And I hadn't prepared myself for it, and because I didn't know. It was really difficult. But yeah. It's just like someone calling you something that you're not and you never wanted to be. So it's just like, ooh.
Because I can see it's still very painful for you to discuss it, and I can totally understand how that, you know, how that can affect you, and I guess that's why, like, you know, we all understood it for what it was. It was never to be. I came across it because someone in the social network on my Instagram, someone that I follow, put something up, which I read and I was offended by because it was, you know, talking about, you know, you essentially gentrifying or whitewashing or, you know, I don't know how it all went back to the whole colonial ideals and so on. I don't even know where
it's ridiculous.
From. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's so ridiculous.
I saw that. And I started reading. I saw some of the comments and stuff, and it just filled in. And I just saw so many people waiting. But I had to say something. So, you know, a few friends, like, you know, Sat Baines came out, and he was very supportive. Paul Foster, quite a few, where it was a case of like, come on, everyone, wake up. There's absolutely no need for this because we can see it, and we're chefs. We're not the sharpest tools in the box. You know, you know, if we were, we'd be astronauts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we can see it for what it is. Why is everyone getting so offended? Because there's no offense intended by it. So, and, you know, my comments got picked up, and we ended up doing an article. But it just made.
It's really hard still today because I still feel like I've got a filter on me, and it's really hard with social media because as a chef, you know, you need to not just be a chef anymore, you need to be a social media marketing manager and all the rest of it. All these are the job titles that you've got, as well as a business owner, as well as everything else. But all the social media channels are asking you to post each day. That gives you an opportunity to slip up or to be like, and I always question myself to be like, oh no, is this offensive? I don't know. And there's no rule book, and I wish there was, but there is no rule book at the moment, which is like, I don't know, and it's hard.
I think the reason I wanted to talk about it was because you are a person, and the stuff that was being said, whether they were offended by you or not, I wanted to kind of just bring the person to the front. I think that's what upset me the most about watching it was I think everyone's entitled to an opinion, but I don't think it's fair to attack one person that you disagree with. And I've had this. I work in social media. I watch it happen, and it is one part of social media that really upsets me, and I really don't like it, and I think it's really, really unfair. So I kind of just wanted, I didn't mean to bring it
No,
Yeah,
no, not at all.
Like
I
upset
think,
you with it. I just think it's important for people that maybe might listen, who it's very quick and easy to write a comment.
Yes, 100%.
But not understand what that comment has.
Yeah, and people say to have a really thick skin and don't read them, but come on, you read them, and when you're having like thousands of messages coming to you being like, you're this, you're a racist, you're right, and you're like, even like death threats, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
For nothing that should have been caused offense, and you're just like, what is going on? Like, come on.
We were all incensed as chefs. Is like when I say to the lads, all right, Friday, what we're having for lunch, and Friday's a treat day.
Yeah.
The conversation or the comments always that our chef, we want something fucking dirty today. We want something filthy. And it doesn't mean we want stuff rolled around on the ground or that's going to kill us. It means we want really unctuous, indulgent food.
Yeah.
It's actually when these terms are used, and we all know this, so I don't know why common sense evaded everyone at that period. We all know that those terms actually are complementary.
Yes, 100%. It's food that you absolutely crave. It's food that you like.
Exactly. So and that's the thing that it's just for me. Like I said, when I start reading this stuff, it just pissed me off so much because I'm very much a matter of fact and common sense. That's how I've lived my life, and that's how I've survived and not killed myself over the years. But it is a simple case. I looked at that and I just could not understand why it caused so much offense because and I know some of the comments it led on to almost tying it on with certain communities' attitude or certain people's attitudes towards particular communities because of what's happened with the pandemic. What the fuck has it got to do with that? Absolutely fuck all. But it's the fact that how we're snowballing into something that it just wasn't. And that anyone, you just look at it and you think, how did it get to that? Because if someone says to me, do you want a dirty burger? I don't turn around and say, no, I'd prefer a clean one. I want a fucking dirty, filthy burger. That's what I want.
There's restaurants. There's so many restaurants, like products and supermarkets. So many things called dirty something. And now I can't. I'm not allowed to use the word anymore. So, it's everyone's got their own like. It's so powerful with language because everyone's got their own meaning of certain words, and you're like, I don't know. It's
in all fairness, like. That's why we're all pissed off with it, is because yes, you're right. Everyone has certain words. I've got some friends who, they're a lot cooler than me, and they use terms that don't make sense to me. I don't get it. But one thing that's universal now, I think, especially when it comes to food, when someone says, "I want something dirty, I want something filthy," we all know what that means. There's no ambiguity about it. So. That's why I think all of us, we just got so fucked off with it and so pissed off that we had to say something about it.
I feel as well it probably tainted your experience a little bit as well with MasterChef, which is a real shame.
Yeah,
Philli.
I mean, because it was during finals week and I was like so worried about it, and I was like to my boyfriend, they've kind of like. The whole experience has kind of been stolen from me. It should have been like a really beautiful experience, and I was like just scared, and I didn't even want to watch like the last few episodes anyway.
Which is awful. And do you know, I do like to think that some of these people that were behind this, if they just took the time to realize what they'd done, they're probably not nasty people. They probably never intended that reaction.
And I wouldn't hold it against them at all, but it's just when volume comes through to you, and even when a lot of good comments are coming through to you, it's that one comment that's bad, and you always pick up on it, and you're like, oh god.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's difficult, but
I've learned about it and learned to deal with is this. Yeah, I don't give a fuck attitude really. So you do what you do. Your intentions are good. As long as your intentions are good and you don't intend to offend anyone or cause harm to anyone. Yes, you are going to offend people one way or another. But it is what it is. As long as your intentions are pure, if people are pissed off with it, you just almost got to like zone it out, and you just got to learn to live with that, and that's how it is. And we have to accept the fact not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone likes me. I don't know why, because I'm really likable. But
you're lovely. We've established this.
So you just have to deal with it, and it's something that I guess over time, you just start to build up. The term thick skin, and you start to just mature through it, and be able to just zone it out, and just concentrate on the positives. Because you will never, if you're true to yourself, you will never be everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
There are always going to be people who don't like you for whatever reason, and there are going to be people who think you're the best thing since sliced bread, and you're the best person to be around.
Yeah.
And that's just part and parcel. It's just social dynamics, and obviously with social media, your social circle now isn't a couple of hundred or 50, 100 people. It's several thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. And in that, you will get people, your audience, you will get people who, for whatever reason, they might not like you because you've got the headphones that you're wearing. They probably would have preferred them to be black. Do you understand? There's always something that you can do that will offend someone. But as long as you know, and the thing that when we spoke about it at the time is, we all know that you never meant any offense by it, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because you're not a horrible person, and you never intended to be. And like we all said, what you were trying to do, like what people should have taken out of that is the fact that you've traveled the world, you've been introduced to all these new experiences, and you've loved it so much, you've made it part of yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's one of
the.
I
wanted to actually celebrate everything.
Yeah.
That's the food that I love, and I was just like, I want to show people the food that I love, and I was just like, oh,
that's
the opposite of what.
Exactly. That's one of the greatest compliments you can give a culture, you can give a people, is adopting them and their ways. And food is something obviously universal, and it's one of the easiest things to take in. It's a lot easier to learn how to cook a particular cuisine than learn the language, for example. But you admired it enough, and it became part of you, because that's part of you and your identity now. Because when I think about you, I think about flavors and food from that part of the world. So isn't that a mark of respect? Yeah. And that's the thing. And that I could not understand that. But but I think, to be honest, I think you handled it really well. I think BBC and the guys at Shine, they're really supportive, and they've helped you through it and coached you through it. But I think fingers crossed, I hope you've come out stronger from this. And
I mean, I'm still trying to remove my filter almost, because people want you to be more real and like who you are, but it's scary because just in case you do trip up. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to be me.
And you have a right to self, to your own identity, rather than being, one flavor that fits all and happy to, and pleases everyone, because you can't, because then you're not being true to yourself. So I think the thing is, it's something that I guess, fingers crossed you'll never have to experience that again. But I think, for sure you'll be a lot more hardened to it now.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think the more people get to know you, because bear in mind, you came from relative obscurity to being in front of the nation, in front of millions of people, not only in the country, but you find yourself all over the world, and people didn't understand you and know you, and now they're getting to know you. They've got that opportunity to get to know you. So even those who may have been negative in the past, I guarantee you, no doubt, they will change their opinions of you once they've had, like you said, time to reflect and realize that maybe no offense was meant by it. And like I say, inherently, I don't think people are horrible. I think people are nice. It's in our nature to be nice.
Yeah.
And I think in time, people will, even those who have had negative issues, they'll change their opinions of you. So don't let it bother you. Seriously.
Thanks. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And can I just say thank you so much for actually speaking out and saying and sticking up and just being like, no, what is this? Yeah, thank you.
It was just the right thing to do, because we just couldn't understand why it's been taken that way. And for me, it's it hark back to certain things that I experienced earlier on in my career as well. So I could almost see it playing out again. So, and we're in a world where social media has become part of our life now. So the reach is so much bigger than, say, it was 10, 15 years ago. So I could see what I sort of experienced all those years ago, amplified 100 times, a million times, and it's been directed at you. Someone who, you're young, you're enthusiastic, you're in early stages in your career, and we just thought, well, I personally thought there's absolutely no need for it, and there needs to be a voice of reason, and something has to be said. And me with my few words, and if everyone started to say it, it starts to change the tide, and people start to look at it in different ways. So there's no need for it, and for me, like I say, it really did upset me as well, like really annoyed me. So and I didn't see any reason for it. So that's why we have to speak out. So.
Yeah. I mean, I know I saw the initial starts of it and never expected it to go where it went. It was quite shocking. So, and I couldn't understand it either. But and people, like I said, people don't understand, I don't think, what their words do to someone to read stuff like that. So it's a difficult thing, and it's very easy to sit and say, well, just don't read it then. Like,
You've got to learn to do that. I mean, I get all manner of messages all the time. I get hammered from various sides, but ultimately, you've just got to learn to ignore it. Like, for example, like religion plays absolutely no part in my life. I'm an atheist, and I have been all my life. And so, but yeah, my family name is Islam. So certain groups, for whatever reason, feel that I should represent them or represent their values. But ultimately, it's for me, it's my family name, and I'm too long in the tooth now to change it. I can't change my name to something else, and it's too late, or not too late, but I am who I am. And so for me, that I've over the years, I know it's caused issues with certain groups of people, and certain and so, but for me, I've learned to ignore it now, because at the end of the day, I know what I live my life how I want to live my life. I don't do what I do in order to offend them. I've not asked to be a poster boy for any particular group, or the only group that I support is myself, my team, my family, and my friends, and that's who I represent, and that's who I want to be there for. So for me, it is something that I saw, and I've had it over the years, and I just I could see it starting off, and no one really stepped up for me at the time. So I had to battle through it myself. So I thought for me, because I could identify with it, I had to say something. But yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like I say, when you say it's easy to say ignore it, it's something that you have to learn to do.
Yeah,
it's something that you're gonna have to learn to do. So I can put something up, and then I'll get 1,000,001 people. I remember once for about 5 or 6 days, because I had a restaurant that was built around American food, and we put this lovely rack of ribs on that. It was good, actually.
Nice, yeah.
Pork ribs, and there was about. Yeah, I mean, I got hundreds of messages on Twitter and stuff like that, where they're just attacking me for using pork. But I love pork. I've enjoyed cooking with it and eating it, and that's that. And in the end, it's Daniel Clifford who actually called me, and he said, "Look, Aktar, you need to start ignoring them," because I spent a week just arguing with them, and I was having fun, because I like a bit of I like a scrap. I grew up in Aston, so one thing we're good at is scrapping. So I like a good old fucking fight. So, but in the end, it was Daniel Clifford called me, and he said, "Aktar, you need to start ignoring it now. I mean, I know you're having fun with it, but ignore it, because at the end of the day, you don't know where it's going to snowball. Just ignore it." And that's something that I took on board. So, and it's that's how I've sort of like since then, that's how I do it. So I just tend to ignore. I mean, on the odd occasion when I wake up, I've got bugger all to do. I thought, yeah, I'll have a scrap. So if someone's having a dig at me, but I have fun with it. But yeah, in general, yeah, I know it's like say it's easy to say just ignore it. Well, that's exactly what Daniel said to me. Ignore it, and guess what? It's what I've done, and it's worked for me.
I want to see Daniel Clifford ignore it. He needs to take his own advice sometimes.
Yeah,
he loves a scrap and all.
He does, but it's how far do you take it? And like say, you know, for me, it'd been going on for about a week at that point where, you know, it could have gone on for a lot longer. And I mean, there was like on particular forums, like worldwide forums, they're all there talking about me. I can't believe this guy's eating pork and drinking and this, that, and the other. Well, I like to eat pork and I love fucking good drink. So, you know, that's what I do. So what you know, I was getting attacked for being me. But I mean, like I say, it was starting to snowball. So the more I was responding, the more people were getting involved. And you know, he called me and we had a long chat about it. And I ignored it, and it went away within a week, 10 days after that. Just kept ignoring it. But otherwise, I'd have carried on for another week, 10 days. That would have spurred on another God knows how many people, and it just carried on and on. And I may have ended up saying something that could have offended the wider community in the process of having fun with that. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, we all like a little bit of a scrap, but now, you know, that's something that I'll always thank Daniel for, because he taught me, or he gave me a wake up call, and he told me to ignore it, and I did. And so yeah, you have to learn. So obviously, if you ever do fancy a little scrap once in a while, you can pick on one and you know and have a bit of fun. But in general, just learn to ignore it.
Philli, I feel like that you are a strong enough and confident enough person that you will get back to a point where that filter is gone, and I look forward to you getting to that point, because you deserve it as well. So I think what happened was very unfair, and it's good to see that you've carried on and you've not let it stop you. So so you know, good, you know, well done to you. I think I'd like to talk, we have kind of covered it a little bit, but a bit more about your journey, Philli. People will probably know a bit more about Aktar, and I think he's, you know, pointed it out that, you know, you've come very quickly to the public's attention. So you know, what's your kind of journey? How did you get there? I mean, Aktar wanted to be an astronaut. Did you always want to be a chef?
No, not at all. I took a bit of a roundabout way to become a chef. I actually went to university, so I studied. I've got a master's in chemistry behind like the chefing. So I actually got to the kitchen very late compared to everyone else. I was a commie chef, and I was 22, and everyone else was 16, and I was like, oh, okay. But it was a great experience, because I actually went to a restaurant in the Lake District, so Longcombe, Simon Brogan, and I went to the restaurant and I said, oh, I'm studying chemistry and I love food. I absolutely love food. And he took me into the R&D kitchen. So I went back, and it was like the lab that I had in my chemistry lab at university. And I was like, this is so cool. This is amazing, because everything that they make, they get to eat. And it is like, that was one of the first restaurant experiences, like a fine dining restaurant experience that I'd had. And I was like, this is magic. This is so cool. I want to do this. How do I get this job? So following university, I was like, okay, I'm going to throw myself into a kitchen. Let's go with like one of the tough kitchens. Why not? Like, let's learn from some of the best. So I went to the Gordon Ramsay group and did my apprenticeship there. So I got my cooking qualifications along with working at 2 of his restaurants. And then I was like, oh, I really love designing. I think, Aktar, you might have seen that a little bit. That I absolutely love being creative in the kitchen, and that's what really drives me. So rather than like, I'm not a line cook, I respect those guys to the ends of the world. I don't understand how you do the hours and like just the mentality. It's hard work in the kitchen, but I really love to like be creative and like do that. That's what drives me. So
you ruined my last question. I was going to say when we're going to see restaurant Philly, but yeah,
oh
we'll
gosh,
that then.
I mean, I could try. But like,
you ruined the whole interview. That's it. I'll have to scrap everything.
It might be coming, but yeah. So I really love development. So following that, I actually went to develop ready meals for retail. I did that for a couple of years, but something was really pulling me back to Asia, where with the first restaurant that I worked for the Gordon Ramsay Group was an Asian French cuisine restaurant, and I took a one-way ticket to Japan. I was just like, right, pack my bags, I'm off. I spoke to a restaurant over in Tokyo. I starred there. It was a 2 Michelin-starred, it's best restaurant in Japan. So it's called Den. Amazing, beautiful restaurant. And then worked my way across like both sides of China, and then stayed in Hong Kong for a bit because I ran out of money. Took a job in Hong Kong for about 3 months. Yeah, I did a pop-up restaurant in Hong Kong. And then following that, I got back to the UK and was like, I don't want to work for anyone right now. I want to do my own thing. So I became a consultant and development chef consultant. So I got to design for hotels over in Reykjavik. But then I do all sorts of different restaurants for everyone's which is great because I get to design. My job is so varied, but reining that back a little bit now because working on a few interesting concepts which hopefully should be releasing. I'm actually working on a restaurant box which you both are going to be receiving, so I'd love to see your feedback on that, which I'm a bit nervous about because it's going to be my first time like actually serving my food to the public. I've got a few pop-ups this summer as well, and working on a book proposals as well, that sort of stuff. So I think once it all gets over the line, yeah. So yeah, as well as like doing the day-to-day of filming, editing, and life.
Yeah.
Life
So
of, like,
on the box kind of delivery theme, that's something obviously that you're both very that you're doing and you're aware of. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I've had this discussion with some chefs never want to see a box again in their lives. Some people think it's here to stay. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, inevitably, what has happened because of the pandemic.
Yeah. So Aktar, your box is the best thing. I've told all my friends. They order it and they're like, this is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for the support, and obviously Phyllis snuck her order in without me even knowing, so thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, for us it started off as something because after lockdown one, we got so many requests from people, but I'll be honest with you, myself, Neil, Frost, and a few of the other guys, we were just busy enjoying the beautiful weather that we were having, and we weren't. And then towards the last 4 weeks or so, 4 or 5 weeks, I think we all, myself and Neil and Andrew, the operations manager, we realised that there's only so much you can drink, and there's and lay about. So we did it to stave off boredom, really. So we started doing just 50 boxes a week, which we used to sell out in minutes. We'd send it out, and within minutes it's gone. And then we did that for the final 4 weeks. Then when we launched the restaurant for June, we stopped doing it. We thought, yeah, it's done. But then we were getting 400 or 500 emails every week asking for it. So
really,
yeah. So Andrew decided, convinced me to just look, chef, just do 50 boxes a week. These people, they missed out, and blah blah blah. So it started with 50, and then he'd be like, all right, I've messed up. Can we do 100 this week? And he basically snowballed and put me and Neil
everyone in the shit. Yeah.
So the thing is, it's always been, and what happened is obviously it spiraled into something massive. We've got great, the online sales side of things is great. So what we're deciding to do is, because the product that we do is so relatable, it's not I guess a replacement for what we do at the restaurant. It's completely different to what we do at the restaurant. It's very traditional Indian cooking. So we've decided now we are going to keep it going. So I've just invested in a new facility, which will create 20-25 jobs. because something that's very big for me has always been investing in Birmingham and investing in the local talent pool. So that's why pretty much every year I've opened 1 or 2 restaurants. It's just basically, it's because I like to hurt myself and give myself pain, but it is all part of that overriding thing. I said, by 2022, I made a pledge to create around 250 jobs in Birmingham. So that's part and parcel of that. So we've got this site that we're just developing at the moment. So it's an incredible facility. We're really working on our packaging and everything now, because it's here to stay now. And we are.
Let me know if you want some packaging help.
I will do. Well, we're prototyping at the moment, so we'll get it all done. And we're learning so much because, we initially just used to backpack based on what we had at the restaurant, but then that comes with its problems and the time it took. So then we start working with an engineering firm, a company called Soken, who've been developing packaging machines with us and for us. And we're looking at different trays and different films and so on and so forth, trying to find stuff that's, obviously isn't detrimental to the environment. So there's so many different challenges that we're looking at now that we've decided that it is something that we're going to stay and invest in. So I think for us, we are definitely going to continue it. And I think Philli, I think you because no one can actually just go to a restaurant and eat your food, this will be a fantastic way for people to actually enjoy.
That's what I think that's beautiful about the restaurant boxes, because it breaks down the barrier of region or area. Because if you're wanting to go to a restaurant up in Scotland or like somewhere where it's very difficult for you to get to, you can order that box to your home. And yes, it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's an experience and you get to taste that food, which is, it's lovely.
Yeah, I mean, words of advice, I will say, boxes will go missing and people will call you horrible names for it, but
cool.
it's just gonna have to, we've had major issues with various couriers and it's an ongoing challenge. So it's something that you're gonna have to prepare, even though, with all good intentions, courier firms don't want to lose your package, but it does happen and packages get damaged. But, a little word of advice. I think the box business probably allowed another 3 or 4 grey hairs because of that. But but yeah, it comes with its own challenges. But as a whole, it's a positive thing, like you say. For me, the great thing, especially for you, for people to be able to eat your food, because it's great watching you cook it on Instagram, and it's fantastic watching your episodes on Masterchef, but no one really has that opportunity to actually share that with you.
Exactly.
But I think,
and it's a whole huge it's a whole huge investment to go for a restaurant. So it's that stepping stone where you need, and then you can have your pop-ups, and then you can do the restaurant thing.
There you go. So we are going to get you in a restaurant.
Maybe.
Working silly hours.
But I am so excited to be actually going out and actually eating at restaurants again and experience these, because chefs, they're one, or hospitality people working in the hospitality industry, if their one goal is to get the guests to have a good time, and that is all they want. They're like.
And Philli, just to go back to obviously your restaurant box, is that when is that available now, and how can people?
The restaurant box is available now.
And how can people get their hands on it?
And you can get your hands on it on restaurantbox.com. So you can do that.
Brilliant.
Well, it's going to be a really fun menu. It's all about having fun with street food. So I really think about an octopus hot dog, or pork and chips. So I've made rice and set it and then deep fried it into a chip format with a char siu pork, and then I've got a dashi braised octopus in a squid ink hot steam bun with flavors of takoyaki.
That sounds amazing.
That's it. Where's my box?
Well, thank you both for doing this podcast. I've really enjoyed it, and thank you for being so honest as well. I think that's really important. And like I said, I think you're definitely you're strong enough to get back to the non-filtered Philli, which I'm sure you can't wait to be at that point. So And obviously, Aktar, I will speak to you again for the next episode. Thank you for being my co-host for this very first one. I'm looking forward to it. You'll be sick of me after 6 episodes.
It's been great, and it's been lovely to catch up with you, Philli. Actually, it's been great to be able to have a proper chat because, I mean, the last time we spent any time together, I was, you were shitting yourself, and I was trying to be a mean, horrible judge to everyone. Not the softy that I am now.
Yeah. Thank you both so much for having me, and it's been great chatting to you both. So thank you so much.
And good luck with everything. Good luck. You've got an amazing career ahead of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good luck.
Absolutely.
Thank
okay,
you so much,
thank
guys.
you both.
Ciao.
Thank you.
This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com.